live on Ants Army channel on our social media platforms, and there is a ton of content to cover. This week, we're going to be covering all the craziest updates in the Ant game. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to the host.
Well, guys, welcome back. 2025's brought a lot to the Ants Underground Kingdom. Those in servers 1 through 850, Wetland has come and we have landed on that event. Those above server 850 still have a little bit of time to wait while we plow through this beta that they've introduced to all of us. Overall, I can say that the response from the community seems to be very positive. Personally, for me, this has been by far the best event that I have participated in, and being in one of these semi-older servers, not original Group 1, but I'm in Group 2 currently. So I participated in every event that they've come out with. I can say with honesty, for me personally, this is the best event that they've ever come out with. So that seems to be the feeling from a lot of players in the community. Some don't like it, and we're going to go over kind of the positives and negatives and kind of compare it to some of the other events today. So you guys can all make informed decisions as you and your alliances choose what events you're going to go to. So first and foremost, the developers of the game have introduced the infected ants, which are a number of individual alliances that are controlled by AI. They're being referred to as NPCs, bots, infected, but in the end, it's all the same. It's basically they're alliances that are poised to capture buildings and take it. And the nice thing about this particular event that we didn't know prior to going into it was they are in the home areas. So fighting begins immediately upon entering the event for you to wrestle away buildings from them. So it's not just this mad rush to capture blank buildings that are like very lightly defended by station troops. You're actually fighting against a AI alliance that is defending these buildings. So some teams are struggling with fighting these AI. Other teams are kind of blowing right through them. So it's just a matter of strength from the individual alliances and also the difficulty level of the event you're on, because depending on the difficulty level, the AIs are actually stronger or not as strong. So matchmaking will become pretty important to that effect. So if you're matched properly into a difficulty level that is of your alliance's strength, obviously it'll be a little bit easier to go through the NPCs or infected ants. If not, it might be a little bit more difficult. We've seen boss levels as high as, I believe, 30 or 31. I'm sorry. So let's discuss kind of the infected. There are 3 different types of infected hills. There are normal hills, elite hills, and boss hills. Now, these alliances are not like our alliances in the sense that they're limited to 100 hills per alliance. They actually have more or less hills based on the amount of buildings that they hold. So as they gain more buildings, they gain more hills that can fight. As they lose buildings, there are less hills that can come and join the fights for these buildings. So the hills themselves are divided up into 3 categories. There are normal, elite, and boss hills. So the normal hills are going to have less stats, also not as good insects and ants, while the elites have stronger stats, and then the bosses have the strongest stats. From that, there are different levels of bosses, and different levels of bosses, elite and normal, and that's kind of based on the difficulty level of the actual season that you're going into. Thank you, Nim, for posting that. So the bosses are very, very strong. Okay. And when you're fighting for some of these buildings, as the bosses start showing up, there are points in time that 8, 9 bosses are inside of a building. So when I tell you the stat numbers of the bosses that are on our particular event, and we are on a difficulty level 6, they have like, it's kind of weird because they were fighting bosses were showing up to the fights initially before the SXIs were released. And so you have to fight them with your T9s or your T10s or whatever. When the bosses were showing up, it was 3,500% attack stats. So they are extremely strong. Okay. They were sometimes 8 or 9 of them in a building that we were attempting to attack. So you have to blow through these bosses, elite, normal hills that are all defending this building in order to capture it. So unlike other events like Lost Island, Barren Land, Vast Jungle, it's more like fighting an alliance than it is just fighting station troops and taking down the durability. Except these are very strong players. The one thing that we did notice, though, were the stats. The one thing that the infected seem to lack is combat speed. So their attack, defense, health stats are all very high, but their combat speed is very low, considering. So that's kind of a good thing because it pretty much means that the individual players are getting all the first hits on them, and so it can take them down a little bit. I think if they had higher combat speed, it would definitely make it even more difficult. Just to give you an idea, the stats of the bosses are equivalent to the strongest player on our event stats, normal stats. So they are not very easy to get through. So keep that in mind if you're in these events. Also, more and more of these hills will show up as you get closer and closer to targets that you're going after. So we've seen a lot of different tactics that teams have used during this event for that. So that's something to bear in mind. Sometimes it's better to go after the towers that are connected to the buildings. Most of the time, it's better to go directly for the building. We've seen players use the occupy space, so not as many of the infected can get closer to the action so that they're not defending the building. It takes them longer to march to the building. We've seen teams completely bypass towers so they're not blowing stamina and fungi and resources trying to take out towers that are being heavily defended by them. And then we've seen other teams coordinate with their campmates where they will attack two buildings simultaneously because it divides the AI. They have to defend both of them. There's a certain algorithm to these bots that determines how they defend.
That's cool.
Yeah. So all of these are strategies that we're kind of learning and stumbling as we go along because, everyone's kind of doing this for the first time now. And then the next phase of the event that's going to start tomorrow is the clash areas are going to open up to where now you're going to be in a situation where you have to fight the infected at the same time as fighting the opponent camp. So that's going to bring a whole other strategy to this. One of the big things, and Jake, I think you are even experiencing this yourself because you are in a post 850 server, but season stamina has been revamped. It's a new system where the normal daily items that you do uses the normal stamina that you have in your troops, while season stamina is a set amount, 400, and that is used for things like capturing towers or buildings or taking nodes. So it is allowing you to both finish your daily activities and be able to be present for fights and stuff. We're no longer have this balancing act where you have to like give up on hunting geckos and hornets and whatever because you need that stamina for fighting. That perhaps for me is the best thing that's happened in this, and the fact that they brought it to the other seasons. And you can discuss it a little bit for me, Jake, because what your take is on that. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, personally, I agree with you. I mean, I love it, and I haven't fought with it yet because the gates haven't opened. So we'll see how that goes. And I have I refilled a little bit of it because I was trying to get some more 11 colonies before they all got taken. But it is more expensive, I think, to refill, and you can only do it a limited amount of times. But I like the whole system in general. I have no complaints about it.
So
And
do
I'm
you
very
know
excited.
do you know why it's limited for the season to refill?
Well, it makes sense because if you had over 6,000 of those stamina bugs, you could refill like unwildly amounts.
It's actually worse than that. So in past events, what Jake's talking about is there is now a regular stamina bug and a season stamina bug. So these are packs that can be purchased, or the regular stamina can be earned through certain events. Like we just had the cave exploration event. If you chose, you could pick regular stamina for that. Well, that can now be converted into season stamina, so you can use it on either stamina or you can purchase bugs. Uh, like Steppenwolf is saying here, he has 10,000 saved on stamina bugs. There are stamina bugs, for those that know or don't know, are unlimited purchase. So the pack never stops. You can keep buying that pack over and over and over and over again. Okay. So there are players in this game that during events, they will unlimitedly buy stamina so that they are always in the fight. Um, you know, Typically a player that has the means to unlimitedly purchase stamina has a very, very strong account because they're not just purchasing stamina, but they're purchasing everything else to make their stats much higher. So before this limit was put in place, those players were literally unstoppable when it comes to stamina. Like they can fight the entire fighting period. By limiting it for the total event, you are now able to, an organized team that has a lot of players can knock these players out of the fight by forcing them to use up all their stamina. And so it's something to keep in mind. This game has always been dedicated to be a team function game and team coordination game, whereas that's kind of somewhat been perverted because if you have a super strong player that has unlimited stamina, that one player or two players on a team can pretty much wipe out an entire team's worth of fighting ability because they cannot be stopped, right? So This is kind of taken that focus back to what the game has been intended for, and that is a team coordinated event. Canadians have to pay more, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, guys. When you become the 51st state, then you'll be on the dollar, on the U.S. dollar.
Stop! You don't want the CN Tower as your national treasure. Come on.
I do have to say that season stamina so far is my favorite thing, even above free teleports.
Right. We had this conversation because free teleports only work in home territory, and season stamina works all over the place.
It's glorious.
Oh, I love it. It is amazing.
Yeah.
What's amazing is how they split it up.
I love not having to change marches. Like my pro troop, that's where my season stamina goes, and I don't have to think about it. I don't have to adjust all 4 marches.
Yeah, I like that. That feature I like a lot too. So you can preset your, honestly, I've gone to extreme, you have 4 presets, right? And I had all 4 of my presets set to where it's alternating where my best troop is. So that way I can just quickly click on it when I ran out of stamina on one. So this way, you can, it doesn't matter which troop you're sending. It's taking it out of a big pool instead of the individual pool. So you don't have to rotate troops anymore.
Yes.
That's a huge benefit.
Mm-hmm. It's brilliant.
So you basically can set up 2, 3, and 4 as your PvE setups and not worry about troop 1 needing to be rotated and moved around.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Then you don't accidentally hunt with T2s.
Never. That's never happened. You're like, how did I get bounced out of that tower? Yeah. Oh, that was so bad. You wait for a 5-minute timer because you want everybody to get in, and then you realize you're bouncing off because half the players put T2s in.
So one of the factors that people have been complaining about on this wetland feature is what you guys have kind of alluded to here is the chasing kills anymore. And so I want people to kind of understand this a little bit because it is something that some players are upset about. And I can see why. And I also kind of disagree. But so when you're fighting these infected, first and foremost, it does give you champion points. So as you're fighting the infected, you are earning champion points. But what you are not earning is kills. Okay? So some players are a little bit upset by that because, and they have a very valid point, and I kind of agree with it, is it is costing you resources. It is costing you speed ups. It is costing you, obviously, time. There's a lot of fighting. Like, I'm in a pretty strong alliance, and some of these buildings are taking us an hour to capture. That's a lot of marches being sent, a lot of resources being used. And imagine this is just the beginning of the event. You've just landed on the event. You're fighting for your home territory. So the cost of resources, speed ups and everything is going to be far greater in this event than it is in previous events that you've been on. Okay. So players really, really, really need to realize that. You are going to need a ton of healing speed ups. You are going to need a ton of resources because you're basically fighting from the beginning of this event all the way till the end. Okay. So, if you are low on certain resources, and especially honeydew, right? Honeydew is going to be something that is going to be super important if you're fighting with enhanced SXIs or enhanced troops, because it takes honeydew in order to heal them. So bear that in mind. As you enter wetland, you are fighting from the beginning of the event till the end of the event. So, the one complaint though is when you fight the infected, you are not gaining kills. It does not count towards your kill count. It doesn't count towards anything like that. It does earn you champion points, but again, it is not giving you kills. So if that's something that the devs may change in the future, this being a beta, they're definitely looking at a bunch of other things. That's a topic that I'm personally going to submit for them to look at. That maybe it should count towards kills of some sort. What are your guys' feelings on that? Or do you guys not have an opinion?
Kind of unopinionated, but I know my team keeps laughing that, well, they're zombie ants and already dead, so why would you get kills? But other than that, I'm like, meh. I don't really look at my kill count too often, so anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not. I can see where people can get hung up on kill ratio if you're spending resources and you're spending honeydew and you're spending speed ups. Like, if they're killing your ants, is your ant death not going up and your revive going up?
Yeah, I assume your stat for ants healed would go up.
Right. So it looks like, so what'll happen is you'll have an imbalance if you keep fighting infected. You'll have an imbalance of healed troops, so it'll look like you suck. Right?
Or it will look like you just heal a lot for heal speed ups and you're a grinder.
But if you take that ratio into consideration, it's going to mess up some players' stats, right? Like it's like when you have a KD, a kill death ratio, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a high KD in any other game and then something affects your KD ratio and it affects your matchmaking, you're going to be a little upset. So we don't know if it affects matchmaking or if it takes into consideration matchmaking. But yes, people still look at stats.
I totally get what you're saying, but I feel like because people farm speed ups, that healing stat is like I look for that more if somebody's active, to be honest. Like,
are they going to give us back our healing? So it would be beneficial if they gave us back our healing speed ups if we died against infected ants. That would be my only gripe, is the amount of healing speed ups I am going through attacking infected in the first week was kind of high, because we were learning and adapting and smashing and grabbing as much as the infected buildings as we could.
We have a hand up, Otto. I'm going to bring them up.
Hey, I like the hands.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you, Saul? I'm
What's
sorry,
up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. Like, I've been listening. Normally, I don't come here, but this event made me so stressful. Tons of bugs and stuff like this. Like, I have so much things in my head, and I've been sharing with you. And I'm sorry who's listening. I am a little bit rude guy. I hope I can hold my tongue, but I want to join because I had something in my mind, like we leading the teams mostly, and we need to motivate our members. But when we are fighting against AI, and who being playing this game more than 2 years, like when they are just hit the those layers and get the rewards, now they are all of the people questioning why we are doing this, why we are fighting. Like, there is no reward. Like, I've been motivating them, like, this is the system, this is the event, but they need to change.
Hold on. There is a reward.
There is a reward, but
even if the infected have taken over a blank building, the first rewards go to the alliance that actually takes that building.
They need they need to bring the system back, like shared reward, like in Lost Jungle, like just there is no shared reward between your camp.
Between the other alliance, between the camp teams.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. First rewards go to the team that takes the actual building. That's true.
Yeah. Also, I'm thinking about this is an event like with a zombie virus team. They need to bring an item like for save our speed ups, like when our ants killed by or fight and injured by the zombie ant, we need to earn different type of item. We can review them back, and this is gonna cost us less when we are doing PvP. Like, we've been fighting since start, like you said, like, we have diamonds and speed ups, but, but none of those teams will not see the end. Like, they all getting tired. Like,
Yep.
they are tricking, they are bugged. Like, I'm watching my rival teams. They are smart. Like, right now, none of the zombie ants like defending the layers and they taking it free. Like, while we fighting against tons of stuff, like, so they need to give something for, like, so people can fight against the AI, and it is motivate them, like, rather than reward, like, because people are like, most of us, all of us, like, farmers, like, we calling out each other and everyone, we are fighters, but no, we love to collect the stuff, like, like, we
right.
farming speed ups and everything, and so we need some kind of mechanic, a dynamic in this event, so people keep going on and think like a mentally think like, okay, we will fighting, but it's things gonna turn back to us. But they don't, like, it is like season saving, but they saying, okay, but we didn't do any PvP yet. How are we gonna do PvP?
Yeah, I mean, most like a larger percentage of whatever you spent in resources will be returned at the end of the event, even if fighting the infected. But you are right, like, a lot of the, like, you're not getting back speed ups, right? Healing speed ups, those are not coming back. So, I I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that one. I don't think anybody does. One of the things that I would uh, we will definitely, we have a, like, anyone that works on official has once a week we submit items to the developers that are concerning to players and everything like that, and then they look at those and make changes based on it. So I suggest that players go into official Discord. Nim can post the link right now for the suggestions channel in official Discord. But if players post a suggestion and it gets more likes, it's more likely to get the attention of the devs. In this case, we will submit it during our weekly discussion on it. Like I said, there's a couple factors. The fact that the kills don't count is something that a lot of players have been complaining about, and then the cost of resources versus that. Also, I didn't really think about it because I didn't look at the building that much. But you made a very valid point with the shared rewards across the camp for buildings that are captured. I mean, the way this event is playing out is more like the original Lost Island, where if you participate in the capture, you get certain rewards, and then everyone in your team gets other rewards. But the only thing that is shared with the camp is the wetland rock to increase your stats. That's the only thing that your campmates earn when you grab a building. So yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say to that, and possibly one of the reasons why they're not doing that, is as you can see from the map layout, clay versus amount of buildings, clay consumption versus amount of buildings is enormous. I mean, like, it's going to be hard for one team to capture so many buildings versus another team, so, like, I think every team in the camp is going to, with certain extent, be capturing about the same amount of buildings. So I don't know if sharing the rewards from the captures with the rest of the camp is going to make that big of a difference when all the dust settles, because you're limited by how much clay you have. So, and there's a lot of buildings that need to be captured, both in the home area and the the shared camp area and the environmental zones. So I think even before the tree opens, a lot of buildings need to be captured, and it's going to require maximizing clay consumption by each team. One thing I will say, though, that another good reason that it's kind of not shared is what happens if you land on an event like, there's certain teams that have farms that sign up for these events so that they can gain certain rewards, right? So if that farm alliance or whatever, or a very inactive alliance decides to sign up for wetland,
we are doomed. Yeah, we're living this.
Unless they go for buildings, they're not going to gain anything, right? So they'd be better off signing up for a Lost Island or signing up for a barren land or whatever, so that they're not, signing up for an event that's supposed to be very heavily PvP, because they're not going to be able to maximize rewards that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I personally have not been on it, but I have seen where a team will sign up their farm alliance to one of the events because they can gain more rewards on their farms by just sitting in the bunkhouse and not doing anything. But that kind of ruins the experience for the other teams of their camp.
I'm living right now in the event. Like, one of my teams, like, not so good on capturing the big layers, and like, still trying to take the level 8 and failing, and I'm paying the price.
I mean, I saw it I saw it on my event. Okay, like my team. For
amazing.
Are in the audience. No Persona was the R5 of our campmate in our last Vast Jungle event, and we won that event together. But so I personally haven't seen it, but like I said, I know of teams that have like signed up their farms, gone to an event, stayed in the bunkhouse the entire time, and so now their campmates kind of like are down an entire team. Now, what you're describing, where they're having difficulty taking a certain residence, No Persona knows my team. We are like one of the strongest teams in the game. And it took us an hour to get that first residence because we didn't know what to expect. We had a team on our event fight for 3 hours, like a team on the opposite camp fight for 3 hours for a residence, and they weren't able to take it. So, like, I understand, but we're all kind of learning here, right? Like, eventually they figured it out, and they were able to not only take that residence, but they're doing decent right now. They're grabbing residence after residence, and they're not necessarily like. Here's the thing: there's only so much stamina you have, right? There's only so much function you have. You don't want to like waste everything, but like I said earlier in the podcast, is that sometimes avoiding the tower fights to like go straight for the building is better because you'll conserve more stamina. You'll conserve more everything. You sent me a screenshot of like players putting their occupy tents down so that the infected don't get too close to the building, right? So
yeah, it's taking marching speed. Yeah, exactly. And also it is bugged and so much that ant is not teleporting, and you just invading the whole area with your temporary habitat, but like it is causing the AI mind, like there is nowhere to teleport. Seems like their programming like need to improve so they can teleport anywhere they find free. AI failing too a lot.
Wolfie, I want to address Wolfie's point here. So like the kills counting or not counting. So here's one of the arguments against that. I personally know players that hit their farm with T1s over and over and over again just to inflate their kill counts. So that is something that is done in this game So why kill counts against the NPC where you're actually fighting? In a lot of cases, some of these NPCs are stronger than alliances you may face, right?
Mhm.
So for that reason, I think the kill counts should count. The fact that you spend stamina, you spend time, you spend resources to kill these infected, I think it's more worthy that should count towards kill counts than players that are hitting a farm over and over again with T1s in it or T2s just to inflate their kill counts. So that's, that's my argument for it. Personally, I don't really care. I mean, I think, as Jake alluded to earlier, where kill count versus heal ratio, that is more of an indicator of someone who is really a fighter than an overall kill count by itself.
And I think too, we have to keep in mind that this is a beta version. I mean, so far it's been a lot of fun, but there's a lot. I'm sure. I mean, Lost Island, the first few events didn't look like the Lost Island we go to now. So there's still time, and especially with the suggestion channel that you brought up earlier, a point I want to make for that is you can vote up those suggestions so that they get more attention. I mean, we have no control over what the developers do, but they do like the feedback from players. So the more you vote up a suggestion or put suggestions in there or communicate, the more we can bring to the table for them to look at. That's all.
Posted a link to the World Suggestions channel there. If anybody doesn't know where to find it, you can find all the suggestions and give them some upvotes or some downvotes. If you don't agree with them, that's okay too.
Yeah, and to Hilbert's comment in the live chat, they are individual suggestions. So, like, if you have an idea, if you have something that you feel is worthy of changes made to the game, that's what that World Suggestions is for. You just put in your suggestion, and based on the upvotes, I'm gonna go over the staff on official Discord. We are not developers. Okay, we do not make changes to the game. We do not program the game. That counts for the mods, that counts for the strategy team, that counts for us here on stage. We have nothing to do with how the game proceeds as far as what the developers decide to do in the game. Now, that being said, we do have resources where we make suggestions to the devs. Sometimes they take those suggestions, sometimes they don't, sometimes they make changes, sometimes they do not. It's out of our control in that sense. But I will tell you that there are many changes that have been implemented into this game that were as a direct result of the suggestions channel and the staff on official Discord bringing it to the attention of the devs. Me personally, even before I was in staff, some of you may know this, others do not know this, but so I'm colorblind, right? The Ladybug event where you have to pick the different colors is impossible for me to do. Okay. So I kind of made suggestions and pushed some of the staff members to bring this up to the devs. And immediately the next event, they introduced the numbers to where it has the numbers on the Ladybugs, 1 through 10 or whatever. So that way I could actually do this. So I know it works because that is one example of it working before I even joined staff or anything like that. So, and then now being on staff, weekly, anyone that's in official Discord brings to the we have a suggestions channel. We bring it up and we list how many players are actually interested in these changes being made. And that gets submitted to the dev team. and they either decide to make changes. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes it's not worth it, or they've determined that it would be too complicated, or whatever may be the case. But I've seen a lot of changes made from the suggestions that we have submitted. So I think what else, guys, from the new event that we haven't covered yet?
What about the what is that event called? The little extra.
Oh, the ant trial. Okay.
Yes.
Infected ant trial. Okay, so we're gonna drop the little secret here in case some of you guys don't know about it. But some of you may already know about it. I highly recommend you go into the game and do it now, because I think it's going to be corrected after this update. We'll go over the update also. I think we're going to go over the hour based on all the information here. But okay, so the infected ant trial is basically almost like a duels. You have to challenge, and if you can bring some pictures up, Nim, that would be great. But you basically challenge the infected ants, and it goes from level 1 all the way to level 60. Level 60 is the max. Okay. So in this infected trial, you basically put up your best special ants, best insect, and you go up against the infected. Okay. It gets harder as you go level to level. It gets harder and harder. So this was open right from the beginning before anyone has SXIs. So once you gain SXIs, obviously you'll go through further and further floors. Okay. So you actually have to challenge different formations. And in order to get to the next level, you have to beat 2 of the infected formations. So the options are a shooter formation, a carrier formation, a guardian formation, and a universal formation. So when you kill 2 of them, you proceed to the next level. So you might have to kill a shooter formation and a carrier formation, and then you can proceed to the next level. And it gets harder and harder as you go along. But as you can see, these are very hard formations. Okay. Nim just posted an example where you're facing a 100 level insect with a gold buddy, with another X11 helper insect, and you're facing paid ants against SXI troops, right? So it is not easy to get from level to level. Well, when SXIs came out, you obviously don't have enough SXIs in order to proceed. So this whole infected trial is kind of delayed. As you gain building buffs, as you gain more SXIs, you can proceed to further and further levels. Well, there is kind of a bug in the game right now where if you place SXI troops on each line and then switch around the special ants, it is filling the line with SXIs. Okay, so it's allowing you to go way further, way faster than the natural progression is supposed to. So they're basically going to, I think, fix that in the next update, because that is one of the lines listed on the update. But if you want to take advantage of it, I think now's the time. I don't think it's going to make a difference in the end, because if you're able to get, by the end of the event, you're going to get as far as you possibly can, because you'll have the most building buffs and lines of SXI troops. But if you want to gain a few extra levels now, you can go ahead and do that. But expect after tomorrow's update that it will not fill the lines anymore. The only thing you'll be doing by doing it now is getting a few extra levels in before like the time. So we'll see. Yeah.
Question for you, Soul.
It is getting fixed. It was announced in the update that they're correcting it. So what was it?
My question was because I mean, I'm only on level 18 personally, but I haven't seen any enhanced XXI in that event yet, like in that trial. Do you know if we see like the enhanced ones?
You know, to
Just
be
out of
honest,
curiosity.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't
Pay attention.
I was just kind of blowing through them as I was going along. But yeah, I didn't notice if I would venture to guess no. I'm going to also venture to guess we're not going to see enhanced SXIs in the event at all, like from the infected. I don't think they're going to have enhanced SXIs. And the reason I say that is, you know, the difference between enhanced SXIs and regular SXIs are very minimal. Okay. And on top of which, one of the main benefits of enhanced SXIs versus non-enhanced is that it uses less resources to heal, and you're using only honeydew. So the infected don't really need that advantage because they're not using resources, you know, to heal or any. They're not healing, right? They're just launching their random bot. So there's no need for them to have enhanced SXIs. But I don't know. We'll see. What I'm more curious about is, so here's another factor that I don't know if any of you paid attention to, but when you were, if you're on Wetland event, when you were fighting the infected in the beginning stage before SXIs were released, you were fighting the normal, you were fighting the elite, and then the bosses would show up. Okay. Once SXIs were released, the bosses don't show up anymore. Okay. So, like, you are only fighting normal and elite, but they do have SXIs. And it's kind of a problem right now because most players do not have 3 full lines of SXIs. Even if you chased after honor, even if you chased after nodes, there's just not enough time has passed for you to have 3 full lines of SXIs. So you are fighting normal and elite hills that have full lines of SXIs. But they kind of like didn't send the bosses. Okay. So you're still at somewhat of an advantage because you're not fighting the hardest infected that are out there. I think once players could potentially get full lines of SXIs, or once we go into the clash area tomorrow when we're fighting the infected, I have a feeling that the bosses with SXIs are going to come, and I think they're going to be super hard to fight because you know, they're going to be very, very difficult. Steppenwolf, try the trick that I just mentioned. I think like just put SXIs on each line and then move around your special ants. It'll fill up the rows. I'm pretty confident you'll be able to get further. I mean, even before I realized that trick, I was able to get to, I think, level 29 or, yeah, 28, 29, something like that. $31, maybe. Steph? No. Dolphin. So, do you have a screenshot name of the update? Let's cover that real quick because there are some changes that are going to be made. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. They're not, it doesn't look like this is going to be a major update. Obviously, Wetland is a beta, So there are going to be some kind of glitches. I've noticed, I help build towers in my alliance. So I've noticed some weird visual glitches. Like I've seen towers that are not existent. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have experienced that, but like I'll go to place a tower and there's some random tower that doesn't have an outline, like just on the board. So it's kind of weird, but whatever. One of the major things that they're going to be adding is the buddy gallery system. Some of you may benefit from this. I'm going to say it's mostly the spenders. The reason being is I think the only insect or buddy or buddies that you could benefit from are the two orange ones. More so the first orange one than the second one. But if you have a buddy maxed out, meaning it's at 8 stars, there are fragments that can still be earned. So that beetle that is an orange one, if you purchased that in order to max it out to 8 stars, most people do not spend to purchase more of the fragments after they've maxed it out because there's really no reason. But those hatch through the normal insect hatching. So there are definitely players out there that have extra of those fragments. Those are able to now be applied to this gallery system. So that's part of the reason why they're introducing that. Obviously, as we proceed and some of the other buddies wind up getting the 8 stars, those can also be added to this gallery system. I don't think it's going to be a yes, correct. So my tortoise is also 8 stars. So the extra fragments, I don't think it's going to work like that, Miss Queen. I don't think those fragments are going to be able to be converted to go towards another one. I think what the gallery is going to do is it's going to add a slight stat increase, a slight general stat increase. I've seen it in other systems where the like once levels are maxed, there's a gallery that increases the stats in general across the board, but it's a very small stat increase. You're talking 0.5%, 1% overall of whatever that does. So I think it's going to be the same thing. Kind of. I think the best example would be the Reform gallery. So I'm going to hold on. I think just give me 1 second. I'm going to look up. I just have to find a picture because.
Well, then I'll insert the reminder for the posting your in-game ID in our IDs channel. I've posted the link a few times and I will add it again to our live chat for a tiny little reward from Fairy. And if you did come up on stage today, someone will be contacting you because there's a little extra going on there. But I thought I'd add that in. And like I said, go in. If you want changes in the game, then go in and upvote those suggestions that you really want to see the changes for, because that can make a big difference.
Hold on. So if I have a friend that has this mixed out. So if you look at the soldier reform, they currently have the reforms maxed. Okay. And then what happens with the extra material that's earned is it gets applied towards that corner, and the materials can then be added in order to boost the overall buffs. So like in this case, Guardian Health plus a Guardian Anti-Defense for the material that he's put into it, he has gotten those 3 additional buffs. Okay. So I think it's going to be the same thing. I think it's going to be the same system or similar. I don't think it's going to be like a conversion where you can apply it towards another buddy. I would love to see that, but I just don't think it's going to work that way. I think those tortoise fragments that you have extra will just go towards a general increase. You know, there'll be a buddy gallery increase, right? And like I said, I think it'll be negligible. You know, 0.5% here, 0.5% there as it goes. They're going to be optimizing some weather effects in Surreal Wetland. Also, I'm kind of curious because Otto touched on this a little bit, that even though the infected are kind of much harder to fight than like a lot of us realized, at the end of the day, they are still kind of bots. They have like an algorithm that they follow. Sometimes they come at you strong, sometimes they don't. Depends on if you push towers, how close you are, whatever. So it's not like you're fighting an alliance that there's a little bit of you know, depending on who shows up, you know, like how they fight. You know, there is an algorithm, and it's something that can be like learned and adjusted to pretty easily. But they are going to change some of the behavioral logic of the infected ants. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And then the one that I mentioned, that they're going to fix the infected ant trial. Fixed an issue with abnormal formation in infected ant trial under specific circumstances. That's the one that I'm telling you right now. I think they're going to definitely say bye-bye to the filling of the lines of SXIs. All leveled up or just ants you use? Can you add them and not level them up? It's for the. Are you talking about what I just posted?
The Awakening Gallery.
Soldiers Reform, or which Awakening Gallery?
She was asking about the Awakening Gallery. If you need to level up all the ants you use, or can you just add them and not level them up?
You can add them, not level them up. There's 2 different stats that get improved. There's one by. It maxes out at level, what, 40, 30? In the Awakening Gallery? I think 40.
Oh, you mean a max out Awakening?
Yeah, you can. The Awakening Gallery itself, you can. It's based on the total number.
Yeah, like there's more than one. You get the specific awakenings, which I think each individual awakening can go only to level 40, but the Awakening Gallery itself, I haven't got that far.
Yeah, well, the Awakening Gallery is based on the total awakenings. So, like, you can awaken only the ants that you use, but if you do that, then your gallery will remain lower. Like, it's better to, if you have extra material, because you can always de-awaken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's better to get, if you have the extra material, put it on ants you don't use if you want to get the Awakening Gallery up.
Yeah, because you get the gallery bonus.
Exactly. So that gallery bonus outweighs the material just sitting there not doing anything. And then when you need the material to go towards an ant that you want to bring up to a higher level, you just take the material away, you de-awaken it, and then apply it towards the ant that you want. Yeah, Lexi right there is correct. So 2K for blue, 4K for purple, 6K for orange.
Oh, and it's important
on
when
a free ant.
Yeah.
There's another one on the paid ants. It's actually more.
I can look.
I think it's double on the paid ants. So if you awaken it to blue, it's 4K. If you awaken it to purple, it's 8K. And if you awaken it to orange, it's 12K. If I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't know offhand, but it's also important to watch when you're sort of decommissioning an awakening to shift it, that you don't lower your level on your awakening gallery bonus.
Yeah.
Or you
But what
watch
I'm
that
saying
when you
is
move those.
well, obviously you should do it when you have the material that you know that you're going to be able to awaken further the ant that you're using, right? Because of the sliding scale that you Lexi. So if you have a blue awakened ant with, that's at level 10, let's say, okay? If you take away the awakening, you're going to lose 2K worth of points. But then let's say you're bringing up another ant to purple. Now you're gaining 4K, so it should return to, whatever. But as long as you have enough material. But back to the update. So what's the last portion of that is abnormal display of gold armor's awakening stuff. So pretty, like I said, pretty basic. Most of these this update is going to be the most important thing is the adding of the buddy gallery. And then from there, it's mostly just optimizations and corrections in wetland. So by the time Jake Dog gets to get into wetland, it'll be nice and perfect while us guinea pigs run it out for him.
Did you just use the word perfect and ants in the same sentence? This game is evolution, continuously evolving. I don't know if I would say Kaizen would be a better continuous improvement. They always are continuously improving. I wouldn't say wetland would be perfect. I'm sure they're going to break some stuff before they fix it. It's all new. I enjoy being a guinea pig.
Andrew, I don't know. I'm going to tell you, I did look at how many events I've participated in the past, and this is my 16th event. So between Lost Island, Barren Land, Vast Jungle, I don't know if that's an indicator for you, but so we've gone through 15 events now. I will say there are 2 events that we canceled early, like we left early because we wanted to jump into the latest event. So like we purposely went to a Lost Island that we knew we were going to quit early because Barren Land was coming out. And then we quit. We went to a Lost Island again, knowing Vast Jungle was coming out. So we quit early to go to Vast Jungle. And then I think that's about it. And then, so total events that I've been on is 15 before this. Now, obviously on an older server range, that's not going to be the case because they kind of a newer server range. They're going to, release it at a certain time, but I don't know. I can't speak to when. I'm guessing. I would guess that like you'd have to potentially participate in at least 3 Vast Jungles maybe before. I mean, like not physically have to go to the Vast Jungle, but like maybe 3 or 4 times. Yeah, 3 times Vast Jungle would be available before they'll open Surreal Wetland to your range.
Yeah.
Well, and I could be wrong though too.
7 and 8 is still on Barren Land. They haven't even had Jungle unlocked yet. So imagine that if 7 and 8, I think that they would have to have 3 potential Vast Jungles to go to before they would open Surreal. But who knows? They might open both of them at the same time. Like here's Vast Jungle and here's Surreal Wetland at the same time.
That would be interesting, but yeah, we had 4 islands and then Barrens was unlocked for us in group 8, and And Group 7, I believe, might have even had one more island because they're a little bit older than us, but Baron got unlocked at the same time for each of us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally shocked. I mean, I have a 850 alliance on my Surreal Wetlands. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't put anything. What is that, Group 4? Or did they change that to Group 3 now?
We're still Group 4, I think.
Yeah, I think you're Group 4, right? You were Group 5, though, right?
But I think, too, for us, and I could be wrong, but I think this is the first beta version our group has participated in, because I don't think we had the beta Vast Jungle version for us. I could be wrong, though, because,
I thought
memory
you guys
could be
went
faulty.
to it right away, but I can't really remember either.
Isn't Vast Jungle still beta?
I don't know. But I have to say, overall, this is my favorite event so far, like first-time event, where I'm like, okay, this is fun.
It looks really fun from what you guys are posting. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's been fun off the hop.
707, I would believe, is Group 3 or 4. I want to say 3. 750, probably 750 would be the end of Group 3.
But even for our group, like, we're matched with the 67 server.
So that doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you. Like, well, I guess it does. You're facing a Group 1 team. We have Group. Yeah, I guess. I mean that. Again, the matchmaking is kind of a mystery to all of us, but I mean, I know there are alliances in like Group 1. I know there are alliances in Group 4 that are stronger than alliances in Group 1. It's only natural, right? Like some players are a lot more casual, so their alliances might not be as big. They might not, whatever. So I can see that. I was just kind of shocked to see our team, knowing how competitive our team is, to face up against a Group 4 team, as opponent. But I don't know. I mean, I like that they've expanded the pool. I think it should provide for better matchups and that everyone's on the same cycle now. So I think the matchups should be better. We'll see as the event proceeds, but I'm going to tell you this, like, this event is going to challenge the strategists in this game because, this next phase that's going to open up tomorrow is definitely going to be one to really, really have to think hard because, fighting the infected, having your team maintain enough stamina and fungi to wind up going against the opposing camp. How can you use that to your advantage? Like, do you strike the opponents after you see that they've taken an infected where there might be, kind of wiped? All of those are going to play into the strategy of the event and something that those that are in the leadership of the alliances really need to consider, as the event proceeds. Like, now would be a good time to take this building from the infected, but we're like 4 towers away from the opponent camp. They might strike us and we're not going to have fungi because we spent it all fighting the infected. So it's definitely adds a new level to the strategy that is part of this event. And that's one of the main reasons why I really, really am enjoying this event, like trying to think all of this out.
There's definitely a wild card aspect.
Like the old strategy of jumping, the saving teleports is out the window because the infected will take your spot in a heartbeat.
Oh, and another thing, let me forewarn players that will enter Surreal Wetland in the future. Not a good idea to attack infected hills. Just so you know, like when you land on an event and you see all these infected hills all over the place and you want to go attack. I've heard of players, like, I kid you not, they just went and pounded the infected hills. You get no resources from the hills and they kill your T10s or T9s or whatever you have. to the point where you can't use them for the rest of the event. I had one player complain he wiped out all of his T10s fighting infected hills for no reason, attacking infected hills. And so now you're stuck waiting until the season savings bring the T10s back. Okay. Like, we forewarned our alliance, but this player's in another event. And so, like, I'm like, well, nothing can be done about it. You're out of luck. Yeah, I mean, you have no more he doesn't have enough T10s to fill his troop for other aspects. So do not, I repeat, do not attack the infected hills, or at least pay attention to the reports and notice that they are dying, not just needing to be healed. Obviously, they do not die if you're fighting towers and buildings, so no need to worry about that. You can just heal them. But they die if you attack their hills directly, and you're not getting them back until the season saving brings them back at the end of the event. So
we just did hill testing with T9s because we were like, okay, how strong are these guys? Like, what are we looking at? But yeah, I have a lot of those. So
a lot of the reports
or T9s,
or a lot of they die. Whatever.
I was like, they could die, whatever. But I never throw my T10s at anything right away without knowing what I'm getting into.
When I got that message, I'm not gonna lie, I was just dying laughing. I mean, I tested, I hit one just to, I hit a normal, an elite, a boss, just but I'm paying attention to reports. When this player sent me a message with the picture of their season savings and like hundreds of thousands of T10s dead, I was like, oh God, what are you thinking? I go, the good news is after the event's over, you'll get them back. So I would concentrate on getting a bunch of nodes so you have SXIs to be able to take nodes and stuff. I mean, that was the most advice. But yeah, don't attack infected hills. There's really no point whatsoever. If you want to do it to test, go right ahead. But yeah, you're not going to gain any resources from them, and you are going to do nothing but kill your own troops. So
yeah, you don't even get kills.
Okay, so Troy, do the infected have the same amount of season stamina? No, they do not. They have unlimited stamina.
No.
Unlimited stamina.
No, that's not okay. So I was waiting for someone to bring this point up. It's not about stamina; it's about supply.
Correct.
And if you understand the supply, the supply, there is a radius around structures in which the infected receive supply to towers and to their hills to be able to attack. So the larger the amount of supply, so the percentages are from 100 to 71%, they have a larger amount of tower radius from the structure to be able to supply unlimited amount of stamina to be able to fight. The more you wear them down in that supply percentage, the closer to the structure that the supply is. There's the explanation. Nim's posting it. So the supply in below 30% is basically one tower or half a tower away where they're able to supply and defend.
Hold on. Supply translates to marches. So they're able to send more marches the greater the supply is.
Yes. So what you're saying is unlimited stamina is true if you don't knock down their supply.
That's
once
still,
you knock
unlimited. Still unlimited, because even if you get their supply down to zero, they still continue to attack.
They continue to defend structures.
Correct. The difference is when their supply is not eliminated, they actually fight a lot harder because they're rallying. Like, even to defend their buildings, they rally onto the building to defend it. Okay. So like when you're like, it happened to our alliance. We're fighting and we got the building down to like 1,000. Then all of a sudden 3 rallies hit the building and filled it all back up. And we didn't have marches going because we're like, oh, this building's done. There's like 3 marches heading towards it, and boom, all of a sudden it starts, repairing the durability on the building.
But
like,
what I'm saying is you're conflating a tower with a structure.
No,
So the
even
structure
even
the structure gives them their
the building gives them the supply. But like what I'm saying is, if you wear them down, let's say to 0%, even on a structure, okay, let's say they're at 0% on the structure, okay, they will still defend the structure. They're just not going to rally it. They individual march.
You don't supply the place that the supply comes from, is what I'm trying to say. So the supply, the structure is unlimited stamina, unlimited amount of time, because that's where the supply comes from. It doesn't have a supply. It is the supply.
Okay, I got
is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, but as the supply diminishes, it reduces. So what I suggest doing is what most people like. You can blow through and you can wear down the supply on the towers as you're going through and fighting them. My suggestion and some of the strategies that we placed is you align your towers along the infected towers, defend them as you're building, take out the supply of the structures, and then the towers fall easier. That is some of the strategy that we've been implementing.
Or capture it, like bypass the top. Like if you don't, so here's the thing, like the strategy, your alliance's strategy almost needs to change based on where you are in the event. So like, if you want to play it ideally, blow through them all, like fight for towers, go after the buildings, just keep fighting them. And the reason I say that is because you are earning champion points for your teammates while fighting for towers and fighting for buildings. Now, if you're having difficulty fighting the infected, you should bypass towers, go straight for the building, take out the building, and then you can clean up the towers or not clean up the towers. Doesn't matter, right? Like just, that's another strategy based on your alliance. Now, even if you're the strongest alliance out there, it doesn't matter. Like the next phase of the event, you are going to be facing both infected and enemy camp. You have to find that balance where you want to gain the buildings that the infected are holding so that way you can buff up your team, but you don't want to do it to the point where it's costing your entire team all of its stamina and now they can't fight the opponent camp. So there definitely has to be a very good balance. And the leadership, the R4s, the players of the Alliance all have to keep that in mind, that like, hey, sometimes we might have to fight the infected. Other times we're going to have to go after our enemy, because whichever camp winds up getting the most buffs is going to have an easier time when it comes to going after the tree. So you definitely want to keep all of that in mind and keep a good balance, right?
Right.
Between buffing up and blowing stamina, fighting for towers that are not really necessary.
And that's also going to be dependent on whoever you're facing in that clash area.
Correct.
What that alliance is doing too. So there's a lot of moving parts that are going to be subjective to each individual event.
That's what's so crazy about what they've done. It's
Mm-hmm.
no two events are going to be the same, because there's going to be different tactics played with the infected, and the infected are going to react differently to those tactics. So yes, the infected have an algorithm, but the algorithm is only triggered by the alliance actions that are taken on them. So it's pretty dynamic in its in how it's played. We've been testing on brute force or ignoring, and there seems to be methods to both. I'm not a fan of the brute force. Like, more force on the infected only seems to agitate them more. They have unlimited stamina, unlimited activity level, because they port in 30 hills on you. It's incredible. It's incredible. But funny enough, I think someone made the comment about using the campsites to stop them from porting in. we've implemented that, and it seems to be working. It drives them further away from the structures to make their marches longer.
Yeah, and like there's, if you do that, I've noticed there's plenty of time to like, if you have a bunch of players rally right away when you connect to the building, like their march time, because they're rallying to like fill the building to defend it, right? So like there's plenty of time almost to like completely take over the building before they're even getting into the building. So I think that might be part of this update, that they might change that behavior a little bit because it is taking them a little bit longer. And like you said, add to the fact that you put a bunch of campsites all around it and they can't get close, it's going to take them even longer.
Love it.
Yeah. Now, I do want to state for the record, if we lose this event, I'm 100% blaming Fuel. Okay. Just so you know. He's one of the R4s in our team, and we have a philosophy in our alliance that it is blame Fuel for anything that goes wrong. Okay?
Okay.
So keep that in mind. I know he's here in the audience, so I know he hears.
I think most alliances have a fall guy.
Blame Fuel. So
we
Hashtag.
blame Ghostly.
That is our philosophy in our alliance. He's doing an excellent job so far in helping with the planning and build route and everything. But if things go wrong, we blame Fuel. Okay,
it's not the whole leadership's fault. It's just one guy.
Nope. Just Fuel. We're gonna put this whole baby on Fuel. But I do want to thank everyone for joining us today. We did go slightly over, but that was kind of to be expected since we had a lot to cover with this wetland. If you guys have any suggestions you want us to cover on stage for next week, we do have our own stage suggestions channel. Nim, I'm sure we'll post it here shortly. We'll keep you posted on updates and what's going on in the different surreal wetlands and other new events coming to the ants. Outside of that, I want to thank everyone. Thank you, Otto, Nim, Jake. You guys are awesome. We will keep the rest of the community informed on anything else that we learn in the next stage.
Appreciate you. Until next week, we'll continue to blame. Oh, blame equals love. Oh, that's true. I agree.
Fuel knows I love him. He's one of the original gangsters of our team, so it's all a bunch of busting chops, but he can handle it like the best of them. So,
bye everyone. Thanks for your time today.
Bye everyone. Thank you.
Glad to be back.
See ya.